The rain hit the marble like applause for the wrong people. A black woman pushed through the revolving door of the Aurelia Grand at 9:47 p.m., a sleepy 6-year-old boy holding the wet hem of her coat. Her name is Drea Whitmore. She runs a hospitality investment group. Nobody at this front desk had bothered to picture as a black single mother in a damp charcoal coat. Her car had died 2 blocks away. Malik had school in the morning. She only needed 1 room. Behind the reception desk, Chelsea Whitaker watched her for 11 seconds. Long blonde hair, gold name badge, manicured nails resting on the keyboard. She typed something into the system. She looked at Drea again. Then she smiled the way people smile when they have already decided. "I'm so sorry, ma'am. We are completely booked tonight." The lobby behind her was empty. The piano played for no one. A chandelier the size of a car burned over a row of available keys. Drea didn't argue. She stepped to the side, pulled out her phone, and dialed 1 number. A man named Kang So-jin answered on the second ring. Korean, 34, charcoal suit, a wolf inked in fine black lines climbing the side of his neck. On the street they call him Snow Wolf. To her, tonight, he is the chief of security. She is about to wake up. "Don't leave the lobby," he said. "I'm coming." But what neither of them knew yet was already loaded into the hotel's own cameras. Before starting the story, comment down below where you are watching from and what time it is there. If stories of karma, love, and hidden truths move you, leave a like, be sure to subscribe to the channel, and click join to become a member and help our channel. The engine died on the second turn of the key. Drea tried it once more out of habit, not hope. Nothing. Just the soft tick of rain on the roof and the small breath of her son in the back seat. "Mommy? It's okay, baby. Stay buckled." She checked the dashboard. The fuel gauge said half. The temperature needle sat flat. The car had simply chosen this corner. 2 blocks from the marquee she could already see glowing through the wet windshield. To stop being a car. The Aurelia Grand, her own hotel. 6 months of walking past it without setting foot inside, and tonight, the rain had decided for her. 6 months ago, she'd stood in front of 14 board members in a conference room on the 42nd floor and told them she would walk in as a nobody first. Before the press releases, before her name on the lobby wall, she wanted to see the building from the floor, not from the penthouse. They'd called it sentimental. She'd called it due diligence. She killed the headlights so the battery wouldn't follow the engine. Then she turned around in her seat. Malik was rubbing his eye with the back of his small fist. The cartoon patch on his backpack, a smiling dinosaur, was half-soaked from leaning against the wet window. His little white sneakers swung above the floor mat. 6 years old and already trained to wait. "We're going to walk a little bit, okay? 2 blocks, hood up. Is the car broken?" "The car is taking a nap. We'll come back for it." She got out first. The rain hit harder than it had looked from inside. She opened the back door, unbuckled him, lifted him to the curb, and pressed the small umbrella into his hand. Her own umbrella was half-folded, broken on one rib since the subway last week. She didn't open it. She just pulled the collar of her charcoal coat up around her ears and took his hand. The caramel shoulder bag bumped against her hip with every step. Inside it, a phone she had not looked at in 2 hours. Inside the phone, a board, a legal team, a chief of security on retainer who answered her calls at any hour. None of that was useful on the corner of 6th and Marlowe in the rain. Useful right now was a door. They walked. Malik kept pace because she slowed for him. The marquee of the Aurelia Grand grew brighter through the water on her lashes, gold script over glass, the revolving door turning slowly for no one. A black town car pulled away from the curb and left the sidewalk to them. The doorman, under the awning, was looking at his phone. He did not look up when they passed. She noticed it. She filed it. She did not stop. Inside the lobby, the air changed. Warm, dry. The piano was playing something slow and unbothered. Pale marble caught the light from the chandeliers and threw it softly back up at the ceiling. Fresh white flowers on the center table, a faint smell of citrus and clean linen. Drya felt Malik's hand tighten in hers as he tilted his head up at the chandelier, the size of a small car. Whoa, I know. She walked them to the reception desk. Her flat shoes left small wet prints on the marble. She stopped a polite distance from the counter, the way a guest stops, not the way an owner stops. She lowered her broken umbrella to the floor. She waited. The woman behind the desk was blonde, hair past her shoulders, a small cream scarf knotted at the throat. The gold badge on her chest read, Chelsea Whitaker. Her eyes lifted, found Drya, found Malik, and did something Drya had seen 1,000 times in her life. They measured. They went from the coat to the broken umbrella, to the dripping child, to the caramel bag with no logo, and back to her face. The measuring took 11 seconds. Drya counted, because counting kept her voice flat. "Good evening," Drya said. "I need a room. 1 night, 2 guests." Chelsea's smile arrived a half-beat late. "Of course. Do you have a reservation with us?" "I don't. My car broke down on the corner. I'd like to walk in." "1 moment." Chelsea's fingers moved on the keyboard. Click, click, click. Her eyes stayed on the screen longer than the screen required. Drya watched the small muscle at the corner of Chelsea's jaw. She watched her type something, delete it, type something else. Malik leaned his cheek against her hip. "I'm so sorry." Chelsea looked up with practiced regret. "We're completely booked tonight." Drya did not move. "Completely? There's a convention in town." "Every floor, I see. There's a Holiday Inn 6 blocks south. I can call you a car." Behind Chelsea on the wall, the small black dome of a ceiling camera caught the chandelier light. Drya looked at it for 1 second, then back at the woman who had just told her there was no room at the inn she owned. "That won't be necessary," Drya said. "I'll make a call from here." She stepped 2 paces back from the desk. She knelt to Malik's eye level, brushed a wet curl off his forehead, told him to sit in the velvet armchair by the flowers, and count chandeliers until she came back. He went without argument. He always did. She walked to the far end of the lobby, under the camera, where the marble was driest. She took the phone from the caramel bag. Her thumb found a contact she had never called in front of anyone. She pressed it. It rang once. "Seo Jin. The audit just walked itself in front of us." Her voice did not rise. "Bring the files." A pause. Then, in the calm she paid him for, "Don't leave the lobby. I'm coming." She slid the phone back into her bag. She looked across the marble at her son, counting chandeliers, and at the blonde woman at the desk, who had already turned to the next guest with a brighter smile. She did not sit down. Drya walked to the low velvet bench against the marble column and sat Malik down with both hands on his shoulders. She unzipped his small navy backpack and pulled out the half-eaten granola bar she had wrapped in a napkin that morning. She placed it in his palm and closed his fingers around it. "Eat slow," she said. He nodded, more asleep than awake, and the cartoon patch on his bag pressed against his cheek as he leaned into the column. She crossed the lobby once, slow, counting. 2 clerks behind the desk now. Chelsea on the left, smiling at a man in a wool overcoat. A second woman on the right, older, hair pulled into a low, tight bun, narrow tortoiseshell glasses, a thin leather portfolio under her arm. The silver badge on her lapel caught the chandelier light. Brenda Collins, duty manager. Drya read it once and kept walking. She did not approach the desk. She moved to the corridor beside reception, the one that led to the business lounge, and she stopped under the small recessed light where the camera above the desk could not see her. She took her phone out of the inner pocket of the caramel bag. The screen was dim, her hand was steady. She tapped Seo Jin's name. He answered on the second ring. "Drya, the audit just walked itself in front of us," she said. "Bring the files." There was a pause. Not a confused pause, a working pause. "Where are you?" "My own lobby." "The Aurelia Grand." Front desk turned me away. With Malik. With Malik. A drawer opened on his end. A chair moved. "Don't leave the lobby. I'm coming." Then, quieter. Stay seen. Don't argue with them again. Sit where the camera frames you and the desk in the same shot. She glanced up at the small black dome above reception. She measured the angle. She walked back to the velvet bench, turned it 3 inches with her hip, until she and Malik and Chelsea were all in the same line of sight, and sat down. Malik leaned into her side. She put her arm around him and let her hand rest on the small navy backpack. Then she opened the second app. The Whitmore Legacy Group panel filled the screen, muted, the way she always kept it. Properties, cash flow, personnel. She did not look at any of those. She tapped compliance. She tapped Aurelia Grand. She tapped a folder she had asked her general counsel to keep quiet 6 weeks earlier. Internal complaints, pending review, 41 entries. She started at the top. A black couple from Atlanta, anniversary suite, told at check-in the reservation could not be located, leaving despite a confirmation email. A single mother from Houston, 2 children, told the king room she had paid for had been released because she arrived after 11. A Dominican businessman, 3 nights, asked to show a second card after the first cleared. A Nigerian diplomat's wife refused a late checkout granted by app the day before. She scrolled. Her thumb did not shake. Her jaw did. Halfway down the folder, a different kind of file. A voice memo. 3 minutes and 11 seconds. The submitter's name was Marisol Quintero, housekeeper, Aurelia Grand, 8 years. Drea plugged her earbud and pressed play with the volume at 1 bar. A woman's voice, soft, Spanish accented, careful. Ms. Collins told us in the briefing on the 14th, when a guest looks like they don't belong, you delay the room. You say it's not ready. You say the system is slow. If they push, you call her. She decides. A pause. She said the brand has an image. Drea stopped the audio. She stared at the marble between her shoes. It was not a rude clerk. It was a script. Malik shifted against her arm. Mommy, why is the lady not giving us a room? She turned her face into the top of his head and kissed his hair once. We're sorting it out. Are you mad? No, baby. I'm working. She lifted the phone again. She selected the entire pending review folder. Every PDF, every screenshot, every audio file, Marisol's memo, and she forwarded the package to one address. Seo Jin's encrypted line. Subject blank. Body, 1 sentence. This is what we are walking into. She pressed send. The phone buzzed back inside 10 seconds. Received. En route. 8 minutes. She looked up. Chelsea was leaning across the desk to Brenda, voice low, eyes flicking toward the bench. Brenda turned her head slowly and looked straight at Drea. The look held 2 seconds longer than it needed to. Then Brenda lifted the desk phone, pressed 3 numbers, and spoke without taking her eyes off the bench. Drea did not look away. A door clicked open near the elevators. A man in a black long-sleeve shirt with white embroidery on the chest stepped through. Aurelia Grand Security. Stubble, sandy brown hair, broad shoulders. T. Hollister. He paused, scanned the lobby once the way he had been trained to scan it, and his eyes landed on the woman in the dark coat with the child sleeping on her arm. He did not move toward her. He moved to the desk. Brenda spoke to him for 9 seconds. He nodded once. A second door clicked. A second uniform. Leaner, younger, red auburn hair, an earpiece coiled to his collar. D. Powell. He took the long way around the marble column and stopped near the entrance. Casual, hands at his belt, eyes on the bench. They had her boxed before she stood up. A couple stepped through the revolving door, shaking rain off a black umbrella. Silver-gray hair on the man, ash blonde on the woman, a camel coat and a quilted handbag. The Ashfords. They glanced at the scene, at the 2 officers, at the black woman on the bench with a sleeping child, and they slowed. Then they kept walking, eyes forward, toward the desk where Chelsea was already producing a keycard with the brighter smile. Brenda Collins stepped out from behind the desk. She crossed the marble slowly, the thin leather portfolio still under her arm, and she stopped 3 feet from the bench. She did not sit. She looked down. "Ma'am," she said, "I'd like to suggest a more family-appropriate hotel for the evening. We have a list." Malik opened his eyes. "Mommy?" he said. His voice was small. "What hotel?" Drea did not answer him yet. She kept her eyes on Brenda Collins. Brenda did not look away. The thin leather portfolio stayed tucked under her arm, like a shield she had not yet needed to lift. "We have a list at the desk," Brenda said. "3 properties within a mile. Family appropriate. I can call ahead." "Family appropriate," Drea repeated. "Yes, ma'am. And this one is what?" Brenda smiled the smile women wear when they have already decided you will not win. "Booked." Chelsea had stepped back behind the marble counter. She was not typing anymore. She was watching. One hand rested on the underside of the desk, near the panic button, near the line that went straight to security. She pressed it. Drea heard nothing. She saw it in Chelsea's shoulders, the small drop of tension, the way a person exhales after they have done a thing they have been told to do. 11 seconds later, the side door opened. Travis Hollister came through first. Broad, slow, the radio at his belt already turned down so it would not squawk in the lobby. Declan Powell followed 2 steps behind. Thinner, faster, the earpiece coiled neat to his collar. They did not run. They did not need to. They walked the way men walk when they have done this before, and the marble has never argued back. They flanked her, not close enough to touch, close enough that the air between them and her shrank. "Ma'am," Hollister said, "let's take a walk to the door." Malik moved behind his mother's leg, the little navy backpack pressed against the back of her knee. He did not cry. He held onto the fabric of her coat with 2 fingers. Across the lobby, the elevator opened. Walter Ashford stepped out first, then Catherine. They had their black keycard already in his hand. They saw the scene the way you see a stranger fall on the street, the half-second where a body decides whether to help or look away. They looked away. Catherine's hand went to her husband's elbow. He turned his shoulder a 1/4 inch toward the bar. They did not move. "I'd like to speak to the manager," Drea said. "Quiet, even." "That's me," Brenda said. "The general manager. He's off property tonight. The duty manager above you. That's also me, ma'am." Powell shifted his weight. The radio at Hollister's belt clicked once, a soft electronic tongue, and was still. "Ma'am," Hollister said again. "The door." Drea looked down. Malik was looking up. His big, dark eyes were wet, but the tears had not fallen. They were just sitting there, held. She had seen that face before. She had seen it on herself, at 12 years old, in a department store in Atlanta, when a woman had followed her aisle to aisle. She had promised herself her son would never wear it. He was wearing it. "Mommy," he whispered, "are we poor?" She heard Chelsea exhale behind the counter. A small, private sound, almost a laugh that did not finish. Drea knelt. The marble was cold through the knee of her pants. She did not flinch. She set the caramel brown bag down beside her on the floor. Soft, slow, the way you set down something that is yours. She took Malik's small hand and turned it palm up in her own. His fingers were sticky from a juice box 4 hours ago. She did not let go. "Look at me," she said. He looked. "We are not poor," she said. "And even if we were, that would not be the question. The question is whether you are less than anyone in this room. You are not. Not him." She did not turn her head, but Malik's eyes flicked to Hollister and back. Not her. A flick to Brenda. Not anyone who has ever walked through that door. "Do you hear me?" He nodded. "Say it." "I hear you. We are not less than anyone. We are not less than anyone." She kissed the inside of his wrist, where the small blue veins ran. Then she stood up. She stood up the way her grandmother had taught her to stand up in church, spine first, chin after. She did not look at Hollister. She did not look at Brenda. She looked at Chelsea. "What time did you open the reservation?" Chelsea's mouth opened, closed. "On the system. What time?" I don't. You typed for 11 seconds before you told me we were booked. I counted. What did you open? Chelsea's hand on the underside of the desk had not moved. Her other hand, the one on the keyboard, twitched once. Ma'am, that's enough, Hollister said. He took a half step in. His hand came up, not touching, just hovering near her shoulder, the way they teach you in the training video. Let's go! Drea turned her head slowly toward his hand. If you touch me, she said, you will work the rest of your life in a parking garage in New Jersey. He stopped. Not because he believed her, because of how she said it. Flat. No volume. No tremor. The way a woman says a thing she has already arranged. Powell's eyes moved. To Hollister. To her. To Brenda. The revolving door turned. It turned with the slow, heavy hush a revolving door makes when someone large pushes it. Headlights from the street washed across the marble for a half second and were swallowed by the chandelier light. 3 black sedans were at the curb, wipers still moving, doors opening. Drea did not turn around. She kept her eyes on Chelsea. Chelsea's face went the color of the white flowers on the desk. Ma'am, Powell said, very quietly, to no one in particular. Ma'am, there's... The doors of the cars closed in sequence. 3 soft, expensive thuds, one after the other, like someone walking down a hallway in the dark. Malik squeezed his mother's hand. The revolving door turned again. 3 black sedans pulled up under the marquee in a single arc. Hazard lights off, engines still running. The lobby went quiet before anyone understood why. Chelsea looked up from the desk, and her hand froze on the screen. Brenda turned, the leather portfolio sliding down to her hip. Hollister took half a step toward the door, and then thought better of it. Powell didn't move at all. Kang So-jin came through the revolving glass without breaking stride. The long black wool coat trailed off his shoulders. Behind him, 2 men in dark suits carried matte black cases. He didn't look at the desk. He didn't look at Brenda. He crossed the marble straight toward the small boy in the navy jacket. So-jin knelt, one knee on the floor of the Aurelia Grand, right there in front of everyone. He brought his face level with Malik's. You okay, little man? Malik nodded. Slow. Good. So-jin reached into his coat and pulled out a small wrapped chocolate. He pressed it into Malik's palm and closed the small fingers over it. Then he stood. Drea hadn't moved from where she'd knelt with her son. She watched So-jin rise to his full height, and something in her shoulders dropped an inch. The inch she'd been carrying since 9:47. He turned to the desk. The 2 men in suits set the black cases on the polished counter and unsnapped them in unison. One pulled out a single leather portfolio, navy, embossed with a small gold W. He placed it in front of Chelsea. Chelsea did not touch it. So-jin opened the portfolio himself. He slid out the top sheet and laid it on the marble. Reservation, 9:41 p.m. Owner's suite, presidential, held under Whitmore. Chelsea's eyes moved to the page and stayed there. You opened this reservation at 9:43. So-jin's voice was low, almost conversational. You closed it at 9:44. You typed into the system at 9:46. 2 minutes later, you told the owner of this building the hotel was completely booked. Brenda took a step forward. Sir, if I may explain. You may not. Brenda stopped. So-jin slid out a second sheet, a third, a fourth. He laid them down in a row across the desk like cards. Chelsea looked at each one as it arrived. Mrs. Alvarez, single mother, turned away March 19th, told the rate had been adjusted. A 4th sheet. Mr. Booker, black, traveling with 2 children, turned away April 4th, told the elevator was under maintenance. A 5th. Ms. Reyes, housekeeping, 2nd floor, 22 written reports to her direct supervisor. 22. Brenda's mouth opened. Nothing came out. So-jin turned the portfolio so the inside cover faced the lobby. A list. Names. Dates. Times. The Ashfords, still by the elevator with their keycard, took a half step closer without meaning to. Chelsea Whitaker. So-jin did not raise his voice. Effective now. Chelsea's hand went to the gold name badge on her chest. Leave it. She unpinned it, set it on the desk next to the reservation sheet. Her hand was steady, her face was not. Brenda Collins. Effective now. Brenda set the leather portfolio on the counter, slow, like she was setting down something breakable. Travis Hollister. Declan Powell. Effective now. Return your radios to the supervisor on duty in the back office. He has also been terminated. Hollister unclipped the radio without a word. Powell took the earpiece out of his ear and laid it on top of the radio. Neither of them looked at Drea. The Ashfords were watching now and not pretending to look anywhere else. Walter's hand had found Catherine's. The keycard was forgotten on the marble ledge beside them. Seo-jin stepped back from the desk. He turned, finally, to Drea. Ma'am. Drea stood. She lifted Malik up onto her hip in one motion, the small navy backpack bumping against her side. The caramel shoulder bag hung from her elbow. The half-folded umbrella still dripped a thin line onto the marble. She didn't speak for a moment. She looked at Chelsea. She looked at Brenda. She looked at the two security guards standing emptied of their belts. She did not raise her voice. She had not raised it once. Then she turned her head. By the service door at the far end of the lobby, a small Latina woman in a gray housekeeping uniform had stopped pushing her cart. Beside her, a young black bellhop in a burgundy vest stood with a luggage tag still in his hand. They were both watching, very still. Drea walked the length of the lobby to them. Her low, flat shoes made no sound on the marble. Malik rested his cheek against her shoulder. She stopped in front of the housekeeper. Ms. Reyes? The woman's eyes filled. She didn't let anything fall. Have you seen this happen before? Here? In this building? Ms. Reyes nodded once. Drea turned to the bellhop. You? He nodded. How many times? He looked at the floor. More than I counted, ma'am. Drea was quiet for a beat. Thank you for staying. She walked back across the lobby. Seo-jin was waiting at the elevators with the portfolio under his arm. The Ashfords stepped aside without being asked. Catherine's mouth moved like she wanted to say something and didn't know which word to start with. Drea stopped beside Seo-jin and spoke low, only for him. We are not done. We are starting. Seo-jin gave one short nod. The elevator chimed. The doors slid open on polished brass and warm light. Drea stepped in with Malik on her hip. Seo-jin followed. One of the men in dark suits stayed at the desk with the portfolio open between Chelsea's badge and Brenda's. The doors began to close. Malik shifted against his mother's shoulder. He looked out at the wide marble lobby, at the chandeliers, at the people standing very still, at the woman by the service door who was still watching them. He reached his small hand out and took his mother's. The brass doors closed on the presidential suite. Outside, the rain kept falling. Inside the lobby of the Aurelia Grand, no one moved for a long time. If you want to watch all the stories without any ads and also get access to bonus scenes, extended epilogues, and exclusive spicy chapters, head over to our Patreon. Scan the QR code on the screen. The link is in the description or in the pinned comment. See you there. If this story moved you, stop for a moment and reflect. Have you ever walked into a room you had every right to be in and watched someone decide you didn't belong? Have you ever knelt down to explain to a child why a stranger looked through them like they were nothing? And when the truth about who you really were finally landed on that desk, did the people who dismissed you ever truly understand what they had done? Tell us your experiences and feelings in the comments. We read them all. And if you believe in stories about dignity, invisibility, and quiet justice, leave a like, be sure to subscribe to the channel, and click join to become a part of our community and help the channel.